Okay, let's start. Om Gananam Tva Ganapatim Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravasamam Jyothishya Brahmanam Brahmanaspatana Shrunvannutibhisti Dasadanam Om Shri Mahaganadhipataye Namah Om Drishabham Chashaninam Vishwarupamadaabhyam Brihaspatim Varenyam Om Tadvishno Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Suraya Divi Vachakshuratatam Om Shrim Hrim Aim Mahalakshmyai Kamadharinyai Simhavahinyai Namah Om Shlim Hrim Jyotirbrahmaya Namah Om Shrim Hrim Medhadakshinamurtaye Namah. Can everybody say after me? Hare Ramakrishna 3 times. Om Hare Ramakrishna Hare Ramakrishna Hare Ramakrishna. Come back. I think we lost the others to snow. Does anybody remember that there is a homework? Has anybody tried at all? I didn't check yesterday, but until Friday there weren't any attempts on the SJC portion Yahoo.
I tried actually.
When? Yesterday, okay.
Yesterday.
Seshu was also talking about it yesterday at 1 o'clock.
No, I tried in the morning, that's why I got it.
Okay. Okay, let us open it. What was the homework? Can somebody discuss me?
It is look at the distance chart and see
Any possibility of still getting into trouble in the next year or two. Okay. First of all, let us repeat the data for the audience who listens to this. The data is 1941 January 30, 7:30 p.m. The time zone is 6 hours west of GMT and the place is Lincoln, Nebraska. 96 degrees 40 minutes west, 40 degrees 48 minutes north. Lincoln, Nebraska in USA. Now, okay. So who tried the homework? Both of you tried after Friday.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's why I didn't see. Okay. Okay, you go first. So what did you think? First, do you want the annual chart or natal chart?
First I looked at the natal chart.
Okay.
What is overall how is it?
Okay. What is the dasha you are going to use in the natal chart for this chart? Are there any special dashas that are applicable?
I don't see it.
Anybody else sees any special dasha that can apply in this chart? Or is it only normal Vimshyotri dasha? Is the 7th Lord in Lagna? No. Is Lagna Lord in 7th? No. Is Lagna in Vargotama? No. Is Sun in Lagna? Is 10th Lord in 10th? Okay. No special dasha that is applicable. There may be some normal special dashas that may be applicable, but the special dashas that we normally use, they are not there. Now, so let's use Vimshyotri dasha. Now, yeah. As per Vimshyotri dasha, so what is the dasha he is running right now?
Right now is Venus.
Venus dasha. First of all, is Venus dasha a good dasha for career? Is Venus dasha a good dasha for career or is it a bad dasha?
7th Lord in the 11th house.
Yeah.
In the case of the Dashamsa.
You are looking at Dashamsa.
Yeah.
The Dashamsa is the chart of career. And in that chart, how is Venus?
Venus is the 7th Lord in the 11th house.
Yeah.
And then he is also 12th Lord.
Yeah.
He is Mukipada also. But I don't see much problem. 11th Lord is 7th Lord means in the case of the Shamsa.
Yeah. What does 7th Lord show?
Not as a service.
Yeah.
More of devotion.
Somebody who has a strong desire, which he pursues in his activities in the society. That's what 7th Lord shows. And often that means business. somebody will be in business rather than serving somebody else.
But in Rashi chart, he is lording A8.
Yeah.
He also the 10th lord, also A8.
Okay, in the Rashi chart, how is he? He is the 10th lord, 10th lord of work in the society, karma. And how is he placed? In the 6th house of power and following. So in the if you look at the Rashi chart, how Venus is, there is some chance of some power, etc. And you said A8 is there, Vruchapada is there. That is a good point. But what it means is, Rashi is the chart of what manifests physically. Rashi is the chart of physical existence. Whereas Dashyamsha is the chart of the professional environment in which you lead that physical existence. It is the environment which tries to influence your physical existence. So you may be, like I keep saying, you may be working very, very hard. But you may be working hard because you have to pull a rickshaw every day to feed yourself and your family. Or you may be working hard because you are the president of a country and there are so many decisions you have to make and you are always exerting yourself. So if you look at the Rashi chart, if you see that somebody is always training himself, working hard, it may be, you don't know if he is a rickshaw puller who is working hard or a president who is hopping from one limo to another limo to flight and always basically exerting himself. It may be either. If you see the 10th lord in 8th, for example, if you see that somebody on account of his work, somebody is exerting himself, somebody is burning himself, if you see that, it may be either. He may be a day laborer working in some construction of an apartment complex, or he may be the president of a country. It's very tough to find out just from the Rashi chart. Dashyamsha, if you see, it shows what kind of environment in which his work is happening. That will throw light on whether he is a leader or whether he is a politician or whether he is a film actor. So to know further about the career, you should look at Dashyamsha. But Rashi shows physically what you are doing. Now, if you look at the, one second, let me finish this stream of thought. If you see A8, A8 is Vruchapada, right? A8 is the manifestation of the 8th. Some tangible events which show either your suffering or your death or sudden changes. These are tangible things relating to that. So because Venus owns Vruchapada, you can't really expect anything in career. It doesn't necessarily mean that his career will end or something. If you see Vruchapada in Dashyamsha, it may show the end of career. But if you see Vruchapada and Rashi, the person, in that Dasha, the person can die, or the person can have death-like blows basically to the body. This is basically physical suffering. A8 is physical suffering or end of physical existence. And A8 in the Dashyamsha chart is the end of professional existence, professional environment. So now, because Venus owns the A8, there is a chance that there will be some death-like suffering or some suffering too. That is a possibility in Venus chart. Basically, you should be careful about his health and there can be some big health problems. So that is what Venus owning A8 shows. But as far as career is concerned, you should note that Venus is the Karyasha. For career, 10th lord is the Karyasha. For learning, 4th lord is the Karyasha. For marriage, 7th lord is the Karyasha. For dharma, 9th lord is the Karyasha. For the spiritual tapas that you do, tapascharya, 8th lord is the Karyasha. Like that, there is one Karyasha who you get from the Rashi chart. Because the 10th lord of the Rashi chart, he shows, the 10th house of Rashi chart shows physically the actions that you are doing. The actions undertaken by you in the physical plane. That is what the 10th house shows. And the lord of that house, Venus, what he shows is the intelligence you are applying towards the actions that you are doing in the society. Always planets are the animation. They are the intelligence driving thing. So he is the driving force. Venus is the driving force who is driving his karma in the society. How he conducts himself, what he does, why he does. All that at the physical level manifestation. It is basically Venus who governs it. Now, you should look at the strength of that Venus in Dashyamsha and of course the strength of Dashyamsha itself to see what kind of career it is. Is Venus taking part in any yoga in the Dashyamsha?
4th and 7th lord conjunction.
Is it a yoga? 4th and 7th lord conjunction, is it a yoga?
2 quadrant lords.
Yeah, is it a yoga?
Sorry. But we not, but Saturn and Venus together,
Yeah.
of course, K2 is there, is supposed to be, otherwise it is like,
Yeah.
Saturn must be a good.
Is there any other planet along with them on that axis?
Mars.
Mars is there.
Lagna Lord and
So Lagna Lord, he is a trine Lord. For a Raja Yoga, you need trine Lord and quadrant Lord. Mars qualifies as quadrant Lord. So that Mars, he qualifies as both quadrant Lord and trine Lord. So Mars having an aspect with Saturn and Venus means that both Saturn and Venus give a Raja Yoga with Mars. So Venus and Mars give one Raja Yoga, Saturn and Mars give one Raja Yoga. And the interesting thing about this Raja Yoga is it's happening on what axis? The 5th house and 11th house axis. 5th house is the house of power, following, recognition of your ability. And that Mars really is strong there. He is the Lagna Lord. The Lagna Lord is going in the 5th house. And A9 is there. What is A9? Bhagyapada. It is the tangible manifestation of your fortune, your luck. And Ghatika Lagna is there, assuming the time to be accurate. Ghatika Lagna is there. Ghatika Lagna is the seat of power. The control that you have on other people. That is what Ghatika Lagna shows. And Ghatika Lagna is falling in the 5th house and Lagna Lord is there. So Mars is really the giver of power in this chart. And that Mars engages in a yoga with Saturn and Venus. So there is a good chance of power for this person. Now,
December 9th onwards is there.
pardon me?
December 9th onwards is there in this time.
Okay, we'll come to that. We'll come to that. Now,
When you say there's a good sign of power for this person, you mean that's something that the planets determine, or does it mean that Cheney is a person that's going to look for a chance to grab power and look for people to help him grab power?
that's a good point. Now, to see what a person wants, the person himself is shown by the Lagna. The Lagna Lord is your attitude in that area of life. The Lagna Lord in Dashamsha is your attitude towards your career. The Lagna Lord in Vimshamsha is your attitude towards spiritual life. The Lagna Lord in Chaturvimshamsha, D24, is your attitude towards learning. So Lagna Lord is the key planet in determining what you like, what you don't like, what your attitudes are. So here the Lagna Lord Mars is sitting in the 5th house. So is this somebody who actually likes power, likes control? Yes, absolutely.
Like following.
That too, this planet is Mars. He is a very aggressive planet. So, yeah, I wouldn't make political statements, but you can. Even I can, but I don't want to. But all I can say based on this chart is, based on Lagna Lord, if you see Lagna Lord in 5th house, that person will be attached to power. Of course, if it is in some other chart, you should change it accordingly. If, for example, in D24, somebody has Lagna Lord in the 5th house, that will be a person whose attitude towards learning will be so focused on Panditya. He values scholarship. For such a person, scholarship is the key. As far as learning is concerned, not just learning something, understanding it and remembering it. But because whatever you understand, absorb and it remains with you is your scholarship. And that is shown by the 5th house. The 4th house is the process of learning. 5th house is what you know. That is your actual Panditya, your scholarship. So if you see Lagna Lord in 5th house in D24 for somebody, for him, his attitude will be focused on Panditya. For him, attachment is to Panditya. Whereas if you see that in Dashamsha, the attitude is towards the control that you have in society. And if you see, for example, somebody having Lagna Lord in 7th house, forget which chart, maybe Rasi or Navamsa, such a person will be attached to his relationship, lot of desires, and also he will be attached to his wife and other relations that he has. Such people will be very outgoing and they are very attached to people. Here, similarly, if Lagna Lord is in 9th house, the person may be attached to Dharma, attached to father, attached to Guru, etc. Here, this person is attached to power. He wants lot of power. That is one point. For me, Mars is in Agni Dashamsha. So, what does Agni, what do planets in Agni Dashamsha show? Not only aggressive, but not only aggressive and fiery. What is Agni? We talked about the 10 direction lords. Agni, Ishana, all these gods. Each shows certain kind of direction for your work. What does Agni show? Transformation. No, Agni shows actually Agneya. Not northeast, southeast direction. That's what Agni shows. But apart from that physical direction, what the direction Agni shows for work is transform, make things happen. Typically, planets in Agni Dashamsha, they make people engineers. Because what does Agni do? Agni means fire. What is fire? It's not just physical fire. There is fire in the brain, there is fire in so many places. Fire basically is the transforming energy. Something that transforms things from one state to another state. And transforms things from one thing to another thing. That is Agni. You put dry rice, the grain, you get the soft eatable rice that you can eat. That's what Agni does. Or it can burn also. You put rice in it, it burns so that you can't eat it. So Agni, the fire, is something that transforms things from one state to another state. And what about the Agni in the brain? You are listening to these words. There are sound waves entering your ears. And that is converting the Agni in the brain, the fire in the brain, is converting that into some knowledge that is stored in your brain so that you can apply it in future. That is Agni. The Jathagni, Agni in the stomach, is taking the food that you eat and converting it into nutrition, converting it into various nutritional elements needed for various tissues in your body. That's what the Agni in the stomach does. Like that, there are so many different kinds of Agni, so many different kinds of fire which are burning within each person that were documented by Indian sages. But coming back to the point here, planets in the Dashamsha ruled by Agni, the deity called Agni or fire, they basically show transforming, people who transform things. So it can be engineers. What does an engineer do? He transforms. There is an idea, he transforms it into something that works. So he takes some raw elements and creates something that does something. So that is the job of Agni. So engineering is a job of Agni. And similarly, if somebody is a politician, and let's say he has a planet in Agni Dashamsha, what would he do? He will create something. It may be radical or conservative, but he will create something. These are people who have ideas. Agni is all about ideas and creating things, creativity. So he will be very driven, and he will, in his career, this Mars who's in the house of power, because he is in Agni Dashamsha, he will be very driven, and he will be creating things. He will basically be a brain. It will be like brain converting the sound signals into something. He will be converting some ideas or ideology into some action, into some strategy. So such people actually for strategy, when you talk about strategy methods, Agni is a very important planet. Because what is strategy? You have certain goals. Maybe this is what I want to do. Maybe this is what I want to do. I want this party to be so successful in the next so many years. Like that, you have certain agenda somebody may have, and converting that into a strategy so that this is what we should do. So that conversion is some kind of transformation. So that is the domain of Agni. So if we see a politician who has important planets in his chart, like Lagna Lord or 5th Lord or 10th Lord or 9th Lord, in Agni's Dashamsha, such people are very good strategy makers. Good means you may or may not like their strategies. You may or may not like their policies. But they are good policy makers. They are good strategy makers. They are good legislators also. You will see that if you look at great legislators, you will see Agni's predominant role. Because what is legislation again? You have certain goals. There should be orderliness in the society. With that, you take certain inputs from certain sections of the society and you create certain rules that the society will live by. And creation of those rules with certain agenda in mind, that conversion of the agenda or the target or the goal into that particular policy or particular legislation is a transformation of an idea into something that's demonstrable. So that is again Agni's domain. So legislation, policy making, strategy making, all these are Agni's domain. And here Lagna Lord in the 5th house, he is in Agni's Dashamsha, so he is a very good policy maker, very capable policy maker.
Is there any way of showing with a chart like this the mindset of an individual? these people, let's say, what you said could be said to have been true, let's say, of Napoleon or of Hitler or of other people, but it's a mindset that they believe what they're doing is right. Whether it's right or not, I don't know.
Right or wrong are subjective.
Right.
So let's not judge that.
Can you tell why they feel they want to do things that are charitable or helpful? Why they believe their policies are correct? Because you see, this is the core idea.
Yeah.
You don't want people who are very persuasive, who are crazy. You don't want to give them access to them power.
That's a loaded question.
That's the point.
That's a loaded question. But let me just say this. First of all, looking at this, you can see that this person wants power, wants control. Second of all, when given control over people, this is a person who can come up with policies, etc., based on his beliefs. Now the question is, are his beliefs, basically this is a strong person, because the Dashamsa Lagna is Vishnuka. Yes, we will come to that. The ninth lord moon is in Lagna. What does it mean? What does ninth house show? Yes, forget Bhadgan. Concentrate on ninth lord part. The ninth lord is in Lagna. What would that show? Yeah. Yeah. Actually, one principle that I have mentioned long time back is, if the Lagna lord is in ninth house or ninth lord is in Lagna, such a person will tend to be his own boss. He will not listen to anybody. If the Lagna lord is in ninth or ninth lord in Lagna, he will be his own boss. And here you will see that in the Dashamsa, the ninth lord is in Lagna. So as far as his work is concerned, usually he is his own boss. Whether he has a business or whether he is in politics, he does not listen to other people. He is very independent. So that is a principle for being independent. Lagna lord in ninth or ninth lord in Lagna. Secondly, ninth house is the house of Dharma. And that Dharma lord is in Scorpio. Scorpio is a sign ruled by Mars. It's a Samasic sign. So such people will have a very strong sense of Dharma. They think that this is my righteous, this is the righteous duty. This is what I should do. They have such strong beliefs. Now, the same moon is debilitated. It is not exalted. So, debilitated planets, what they show in the Samsa is pragmatism. So, that ninth lord in Lagna is also debilitated, so he is also pragmatic. He has a strong sense of Dharma. He thinks, this is what I should do. This is the right thing to do. I will do it. But at the same time, the ninth lord being debilitated means he will be pragmatic in how to push it, how to, which buttons to push when, and to whom. That he is very pragmatic. The ninth lord in debility usually shows somebody who has a strong sense of Dharma but also quite pragmatic. Now look at the Rashi, because Rashi is the overall who you are. Look at the Rashi. What can you conclude about this person? He has Simha Lagna. If Simha Lagna is Simha, typically what will be the attitude of the person? Yeah? He will be a born king. Leo Lagna, you see in any chart, you can immediately say he will be a born king. In the sense, not that he is a king, he is born in a princely family. He may be born in a very low family, but he conducts himself like a king or a queen. Here is a king, so king. If it's a woman, still, if Leo Lagna rises, that person may have that air of authority around that person. The person will conduct himself or herself in such a way that he is royalty or she is royalty. Not necessarily. Just Leo Lagna is enough. Leo Lagna will give the person the royal air basically. So even if they don't conduct themselves like king, basically when they are powerful, the attitude itself, the way they speak, as if they are the final authority. That is the basic attitude. And added to that, in the Dashamsa also you have Scorpio Lagna, with Mars in a trine and ninth lord in moon also in Scorpio. Lagna and moon both in Scorpio. There is a strong influence of Scorpio. So again, that shows a strong personality. Basically, such people are not amenable to logic. Pardon me? Yeah, it is Jalakatva, but what Scorpio shows is, Scorpio is a sign owned by Mars. It shows people with a very dhrudha, very strong belief, very strong personality. If you see somebody with Scorpio Lagna, they will not listen to you. Even Leo Lagna, even though they feel that they are king, they may still listen to you sometimes. But people with Scorpio, strong Scorpio Lagna or Moon in Scorpio, they are unlikely to listen to you. They have their own mind, a very strong mind. The difference between Aries and Scorpio is both are ruled by Mars, both are aggressive, both are like the chief of the army kind of people. They have a mind of their own. But in Aries it is fire, and in Scorpio it is water. But this water is not moving water, because this is a Sthira Rasi. Sthira Rasi means there is certain kind of rigidity there. So this is rigid water, so this is like ice. This is not flowing smooth water, this is like ice. So such people are very strong, and whatever they do without any emotion, like icy. Their determination is like ice. They have a willpower which is like ice, which means it doesn't melt. It is very strong, but at the same time, you don't see like there is lot of fire. So if on the other hand, if it is Aries Lagna, they will go around preaching people, yes, we should do this, this is what we should do. They will be fighting with people, they will be arguing with people. That fire you can see, when you see that person, there is fire around them. But these people, Scorpio people, there is still fire, because Mars wants it. Mars is fiery. That fire, but the thing is that fire is undetectable. What you actually detect is some kind of coolness. When people see them, they feel like, oh, this guy knows what he wants to do. That kind of respect people will get. Maybe you don't get when you see him, but people will basically have that kind of respect. So Scorpio shows that kind of icy, cold-hearted pursuit, but very strong pursuit, not any weaker than Aries. It is as strong as Aries, but there is no detectable fire. Very cool about what they want to do, but more rigid than Aries. Aries people, they have a lot of fire, but still they can change their mind. If you convince them, they can change their mind and be equally persuasive about something else. But these people are so rigid. Scorpio is a Sthira Rasi. He has Sthira Rasi rising in both Rasi and Dashansha. Leo and Scorpio. So he is very rigid. Sthira Rasi shows rigidity, whereas mobile Rasi shows flexibility. If you take George W. Bush, his Lagna, if you remember, is Cancer. He is actually more flexible. He can adapt. But this man is unlikely to adapt. He is very, very rigid. You were going to ask something.
I was going to ask specifically if you could contrast with George W. Bush.
Yeah.
Because remember, Bush was born into the opportunity for power.
Yeah.
George W.
Yeah.
But the point you were making about this individual,
Yeah.
just prior to that,
Yeah.
can we contrast that aspect with George W. Bush and this individual?
Okay, we'll try to do that, but first let's focus on him.
Yeah.
But
Before you go, I have one more question on this.
sure, go ahead.
The Scorpio Lagna, we can show that he will do his actions, I'm talking about the concept.
Yeah.
He will do his actions behind the scenes, secretively or because of Scorpio.
Scorpio will usually show secretiveness. If Scorpio is involved, the Dharma Lord Moon is in Scorpio. So, whatever Dharma this person pursues, there is some kind of secretivity about his actions in the society. So, Scorpio does show, you can't basically read his mind. If Moon is in Scorpio in somebody's chart, let us say, not in the Dashansha, but let's say in Rasi, you really don't know what is on his mind. Nobody knows. Even he may not know. That is the nature of Scorpio.
And you see yourself in the sense coming from one or you see in
What do you think? How should we see George W. Bush in this
maybe
case?
the fifth is associated.
What is the relationship between him and George W. Bush? How do you see George W. Bush? In his heart. His king. His boss. What is the house of boss? What is the house of his leader? Ninth house. Ninth house from Lagna or from whom? Okay. Yeah. Ninth house from Lagna or ninth house from Sun?
What's the ninth house from Lagna?
Why?
His father, right?
No, but his ninth house not in the father, Guru, but in the Dashansha is God. But in Dashansha it is Cancer is God.
Yeah.
So actually, the Lagna is perfect in Cancer. But the thing is, boss is actually ninth lord from Lagna.
Right. So if you see the ninth lord, ninth house is Cancer. So that shows the guidance that he is getting from somebody in his career. And if you want to see the person who is providing the guidance, how do you see it? The Graharudha. Where is the Graharudha of the ninth lord? Where is the ninth lord? Scorpio. The ninth lord Graharudha is in Pisces. So Pisces contains a ninth lord Graharudha. L or L9 as I call in the software. L9 is here. So if you want to draw any conclusions about his boss, you should look at the L9 and take that as reference and then judge this. And then you will know what happens in this boss's life when, for example, take the Antardasha running right now. The Antardasha running right now is Mercury Antardasha. How is it for the boss?
I have one more point.
Yeah.
Here is a couple of more good
He is Badhakesha. One second. Mercury is the Badhakesha for boss. But he is in 12th house. So his boss has lot of inexplicable worries, lot of problems in his career, but they will go away within this chapter. So that is what this shows.
Will we go away, you said?
They will go away.
Oh, they will go away.
They will be diminished. But forgetting about the boss, let us continuing this chart. We said there is another Rajoga. What is it?
Yeah, the fourth and fifth lord coming in the 10th house.
Fourth and
Fifth lord, Rahu and Jupiter.
yeah.
That's one. And then in the fourth house, you've got 10th lord and Lagna lord.
Yeah.
First and 10th lord coming in the fourth house. That also. So we've got two powerful Rajogas actually affecting the 10th house.
Yes. Yes, that is a good point. Now his point is, the fourth lord Rahu and the fifth lord Jupiter are together in the 10th house. Is that a Rajoga or not? It is a Rajoga. But it is Jupiter and Rahu. It's not the greatest Rajoga. Now, actually, what I wanted to hear was more than Rahu Ketu. Even Ketu is Lagna lord. So Ketu also has a Rajoga. As a matter of fact, if you see Ketu and Jupiter, this is the real Rajoga in this chart. Because unlike Jupiter and Rahu Rajoga, a Rajoga between Jupiter and Ketu, that is more auspicious because they don't really hate each other, whereas Jupiter and Rahu hate each other. So it's like telling two people who hate each other to cooperate and do something good. It may or may not happen. But Jupiter and Ketu are fine with each other. And Ketu is the Lagna Lord here. Actually, he is the stronger Lagna Lord than Mars. And that Lagna Lord is in 7th house from Jupiter, the 5th Lord Jupiter. So the 5th Lord Jupiter is affecting Lagna Lord. So there is a Rajoga between Jupiter and Ketu. So that is actually a strong Rajoga. Any Rajoga involving Lagna Lord and 5th Lord will definitely give power. And the planets involved are Jupiter and Ketu. So what kind of power will it be? It can come because of Jupiterian and Ketu-like people. Because of the conservative basis in US. If you see any Rajoga given by Jupiter or Ketu in a chart, such people are better, they better be in Republican politics rather than Democratic politics. Yeah, because religious right will be favorable to such people. He has a Rajoga which can be favored by people who have a strong Jupiter and Ketu in their chart, or people who are like Jupiter or like Ketu. So that is basically intelligent people, spiritual people, religious people, etc. Those people will support him. Now, apart from it, there is another Rajoga. Another very important Rajoga. There is another planet here, whose aspect with Jupiter gives Rajoga. Yes, Sun. Sun is the 10th Lord. And Jupiter is 5th Lord. The 10th and 5th Lord are opposite each other. Is it a good Rajoga? Actually, is it close or not? Let me check. He is at 1746. So within the Dashamsha that Sun is in, it starts at 15 degrees and ends at 18 degrees, right? Each Dashamsha is 3 degrees long in the Rashi chart. So 15 to 18 degrees is Sun's Dashamsha. So he is advanced, pardon me? You can just see from the Rashi chart longitude also. That's what I am doing. So if you subtract 15 multiples of 3 from this number, you get 246. So that is his advancement within the Dashamsha. Look at Jupiter. What is the advancement? This starts at 12 degrees and ends at 15 degrees because every 3 degrees is one Dashamsha. So from 12 to 15 is the Dashamsha that he asked, right? And what is the advancement within that? 2 degrees 15 minutes. So 246 and 250. So basically half degree apart. So that half degree, if you convert it to 32, that Rashi scale, it is times 10. So basically 5 degrees. So if you find the longitudes within the Dashamsha, they are like 5 degrees apart. So it's a reasonably close aspect. Anything less than 10 degrees is close. And less than 8 or 6 degrees is very, very close. And this is only 5 degrees. So Sun and Jupiter have a very close aspect on each other. And even look at this guy, Ketu. We talked about Rahu and Ketu. They are in the zone 9 to 12. So again their advancement is 2.5 degrees, 2 degrees 32 minutes. So again they are within that 5 degree arc, everybody is there. Sun, Jupiter, Rahu, Ketu, everybody is there. So all these yogas between Sun and Jupiter and Ketu and Jupiter, these yogas are all quite strong. Okay, everybody understood that point? So that is the real Raj Yoga that gives him political power. Unless Sun or a planet in Indramsha is involved, there may not be political power. Of course, Mars also gives secondary, he can also give political power. But if Sun is involved, that will be political power of the highest grade. So he has a Raj Yoga given by Sun. So there is a good chance that he will enjoy political power. Now, how is the current period? It is Venus Dasha, yes. Yeah, he is running Mercury under Dasha. But let us focus on Ketu under Dasha. How is Ketu? Yeah, but especially in Venus Dasha, how is Ketu under Dasha? From Venus, if you see Ketu's Bhoga, where is the Bhoga? From Venus, Ketu is in the 6th house. From Ketu, if you take the 6th house, it is in Cancer. So the Bhoga of Ketu in Venus Dasha is in Cancer. So what would you say based on it? If Bhoga is in Cancer in the 9th house? It doesn't show any fall or any undesirable thing. It's basically discharging his dharma and being blessed because of it. And if you take Venus as Lagna and see how Ketu is. How is he placed? Where is he placed? 6th house. Is it good for Ketu? For Ketu, a malefic planet, being in the 6th house, is it good or bad? Very good. And what house does he own? 3rd house. For 3rd lord to be in 6th, is it good or bad? Good. Had he been, let's say, some other lord, like 9th lord, and he was in 6th, it would not be so good. But he is a 3rd lord, an Upsaya lord, in 6th house, another Upsaya. Excellent. So in Venus Dasha, Ketu under Dasha will be excellent. There is no problem. You get different timing. You get different timing. Oh, maybe I was experimenting with a different. No. 1 second. We'll come to that. God. Sorry. I was experimenting with something. This is all wrong. Okay. Now let's see. Okay, you got this details? Yeah. I had Savana here. Savana here. Use these, but somebody was using that, so I was saying this factor. So, if you see, right now he is running Mercury Antardasha. It will run till 2007. How is Mercury period? Is it good or bad? Again, Bhoga will be in the 9th house, so no serious problem. But taking Venus as Lagna, Mercury is he is the Lagna and 10th Lord in the 6th house. What would that show? He has to overcome some obstacles relating to career. If Lagna Lord and 10th Lord is in 6th house, he has to overcome some certain obstacles in order to do his work. So there will be some opposition to him. There will be some enemies, opponents, etc., who are trying to curb him, and he has to work hard to overcome that. So it's not such a favorable Antardasha. So from 2004 July till 2007 May, it may be a slow decline for him. It doesn't look good actually. So based on the Dasha, the next roughly 1.5 years don't seem very auspicious for him. But from this point, there are two things I looked at. One thing I did not actually mention. From Lagna, if I see, Mercury is the 8th Lord. What does 8th Lord show? Ups and downs, tension, anxiety, worry, etc. So Mercury owns the 8th house. So that is one point. And he is afflicting Sun and Ketu. Mercury is with Sun and Ketu. If the 8th Lord afflicts any Lord, he will spoil that Lord. 10th Lord shows your overall career. Ketu is Lagna Lord, your overall very being as far as career is concerned. So those two planets are afflicted by 8th Lord Mercury, your male, functional male fifth here. So one thing you can conclude is when Mercury's period comes, he will give tension, he will give anxiety, he will give bad name, etc. Why bad name? Why did I say bad name? Because Arun Lagna is there. It can give yes, that is also 8th and 11th Lord is a functional male fifth. There he will give gains also. Being the 11th Lord, he will give some gains also. But being the 8th Lord, he can make him retire. Or he can take him close to retirement. There can be serious problems and anxiety. So that is what Mercury's agenda is. And he is afflicting Sun and Ketu.
In this case, how do we then see what point of time he will the result of 8th house and what point is the result of 7th house?
That is very tough. But they both may, and it may not even be like this month it happens, this month it happens. Both will come together. He is gaining, and also as a result of gaining, he is getting in controversies which is giving him bad name, which is giving him tension. Everything goes together basically. And here, why did I say bad name? Because Mercury is in Arudha Lagna. If 8th Lord is in Arudha Lagna is your image. If 8th Lord is in Arudha Lagna, your image will take a beating. So there can be some tarnished image, and being the 8th Lord, he can give anxiety. But the thing is, not every Mercury Antardasha has to be like this. There can be some modification based on which Dasha is running. The Mercury Antardasha in some Dasha may be reasonably good. The same Mercury Antardasha in some other Dasha may be very bad. So to see that, look at the Dasha Lord as center, as the Lagna, and see with respect to him. Here we are talking about Venus Dasha that is running. So take Venus as reference. From Venus, Mercury is the Lagna and 10th Lord in the 6th house. For Mercury being in 6th is good because Mercury is very resourceful, and being in a 6th you will be using those resources to fight. But bottom line is you have to fight during that period. Things will not come easily for you. You have to be a fighter and keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting. So he is running an Antardasha in which he has to fight and go through a lot of anxiety because you have a match between what Mercury's position from Venus shows and what Mercury's ownership and position from Lagna shows. There is some kind of match. So when you synthesize both, when you combine both, the conclusion is he will have a lot of problems and he will be fighting back, not resigning. If it was some other planet in the 6th house, maybe giving up. But Mercury in the 6th house from the Dasha Lord doesn't show giving up. He will not give up. He will keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting. That is what we see until 2007 May. But how are things after 2007 May? The next 1 year, whatever points we already made, those points hold. That is a period when Ketu's results will be given. And Ketu is quite strong. He is Lagna Lord. He is not 8th Lord like Mercury. He is Lagna Lord. And he is the 3rd Lord in 6th from Venus. Not the 10th Lord and Lagna Lord in 6th. So he doesn't show fighting and fighting. He also shows fighting. But this fighting is actually easy fighting. It shows destroying enemy. So 2007, 2008 is a period when he will be able to get back at his rivals and enemies and put them down. For me? Yeah. 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 Right. Yes. There is some undesirable thing there. I am not exactly sure what it is. But still, from Venus, he is afflicting the 12th Lord Sun. To take from Venus as the reference, the 12th Lord Sun is being destroyed by Ketu. He is being accused by Ketu. So it's not that bad. Even though Sun is the 10th Lord from Lagna, in the Venus Antardasha he is not such an important planet. He is especially the 12th Lord. So I wouldn't really worry about it that much. I would think that this period will be a good period for him. A5 of? Yeah. Yeah.
And that's Saturn, that's the other stuff. So we may not be able to deal with.
Okay. What is his name again? Okay. For Libby. For Libby, what should we see? Should we see A5 or should we see something else? Who is this Libby anyway? Can you refresh me?
Vice President, Chief of Staff.
Chief of Staff. Okay. Okay. So should you see? We discussed this in the last class also. Should we see the Arudha of the fifth house from Lagna or from other planets? Fifth house is overall your followers. If you are talking about a specific person, should you see it from the fifth house or some other house? Is he your resource or is he your follower? The Chief of Staff, is he your resource or is he your follower? Is he your advisor and resource? Or a follower of yours? Somebody who gives you control, somebody who gives you more power. He is a resource. So should it be from the fifth house or second house? Second house. We will agree on that first. Now, second house from who? From Moon, Jupiter, Mercury, Sun, Lagna, what? Okay. Any other thoughts? Sun? Yeah. So what is his role? Does he advise? What? See, second house from Jupiter, second house from Venus, second house from Saturn. All these are your resources. And what is Saturn? Saturn is your disciplined hard work. So the resources as far as disciplined hard work is concerned, those are second house from Saturn. If you take Venus, what is Venus? It is your spirit of enjoyment, happiness. So if you take the second house from Venus, that is people who act as your resources as far as keeping yourself entertained is concerned. There may be some people who keep him entertained, take him to bars, take him to various places of enjoyment. So such people will be from second house from Venus. If you take Mercury, what is Mercury? Mercury is learning ability, communication, and also he is basically the scholar. So intelligent, scholarly people who are advising him, those are second house from Mercury. And also if you take his resources, who are his face for the media, who act as his face for the media, that is second from Mercury. And if you take second from Jupiter, what is Jupiter? Jupiter is wise counseling. So if you take any legal counsels to give him guidance in legal matters, those are second house from Jupiter. And similarly, if you take Sun, what is Sun? Sun is king. So fellow politicians who are advising him, who come and tell him, this may not be good for our party, we should do like this. So all that kind of guidance or counseling he gets, that is second house from Sun. So like that you can take the second house from various planets to see different kinds of resources, different kinds of counseling that he gets. Here, what is appropriate for seeing Libby? What exactly is Libby's role? I want to understand it completely so that I can decide the right planet. What exactly is his role? He is not a legal advisor, right? He is general advisor. Okay.
Chief of Staff is basically like Vice President will have too many people under him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is a superman for all the staff.
Okay.
He takes input from all the staff. No, it's
not legal. He takes
government official.
input from legal advisor, some other advisor, media advisor, and all those people.
He finally gives to Vice President.
Okay.
So what is the right course of action?
Okay.
And that's like it. I would rate it, put him as a second house from Jupiter. So that second guidance, as a guidance.
Mm-hmm.
Like a chief minister or prime minister kind of.
Okay. Okay. So if you take him to be Jupiter basically, what is the second house from Jupiter? The second house from Jupiter is Virgo. And who is the Lord? Mercury. So where is the Graharudha of the second Lord from Jupiter? Aries. Right? Did everybody get that? Let me change it. So we are looking at the second house from Jupiter, which is Virgo, which is the 11th house from Lagna. So we want L11, the Lagna, the Arudha of the Lord of 11th house. So it is in Aries. Okay. Now the good thing is, even if we did not want to take a planet, if we just wanted to take second house from Lagna, the overall guidance that he is getting. If you say that Jupiter, second house from Jupiter is the legal advice that you get, the legal resource. And if you say that second house from Lagna is somebody who is combining all these advices, political advice, legal advice, moon, what is moon, second house from moon, what kind of advice is it? Relating to the pulse of the nation. So somebody may be taking opinion polls and he may be telling, if you do this, people will not like this. If you do this, people will like this. So that is moon, second house from moon. Second house from Mercury may be some scholarly advice, some scholar who went through various factors and gave an advice. So all these advices combined together, if you say that it is the second house from Lagna, which is quite valid to say, because it is the chief of the star, then also this is in the same house. So we don't have to break our heads about it. Bottom line is, you see this guy, Libby guy, from L2, which is in Aries. So take Aries as Lagna and see how is the Dasha right now. So how is the Dasha? Actually, not Dasha, let us focus on the Antardasha. How is this Antardasha right now? Mercury. So in Mercury Antardasha, what kind of results can be expected for this person? He is the third and sixth lord. Is he a benefic or malefic? Is Mercury a functional benefic or malefic for Aries Lagna? If you take Aries as Lagna, he is clearly a malefic. Third and sixth are both malefic houses. So third and sixth lord is a functional malefic. What kind of results can he give? Quarrels, fights, litigation, all these are possible. Sixth house shows quarrels, fights, litigation, etc. Third house shows communication, bravery, boldness, etc. So are legal problems possible for his followers? People who act as his resource? Quite possible, because he is the sixth lord. And in Badhakasthana, if there is any link between sixth house and Badhakasthana, it is always bad. Because Badhaka shows problems that come suddenly out of blue. You didn't expect them. These are sudden problems. And sometimes these are unseen problems also. You don't really know that the problem is lingering. Suddenly it comes. That kind of problems are seen from Badhakasthana. And sixth house is enemy. So if you have a collusion between sixth house and Badhakasthana or eighth house and Badhakasthana, it shows serious problems from enemies. Serious Badha. So it shows enemies who not only not like him and want to give him problem, but succeed in shocking him, succeed in giving him inexplicable problems. So Mercury Antardasha is actually quite bad. How is Ketu Antardasha? Is it better?
Bad for Shani or is it bad for his followers?
We are saying bad for his followers. For Shani we already did everything. No need to do anything new. For followers we are seeing now, and we are seeing the followers from L2, the second lord Arudha. So for followers, this is a period when there is a possibility of litigation or some kind of quarrels, fights, etc. And it's not so good, because sixth lord, let's say, was in 12th house. Let's say sixth lord was in 8th house. You can say Viparita Rajyoga. There will be some quarrels, but they will end well. But he is in 11th house, Badhakasthana. So there will be some litigations which can actually get more and more complicated. There may be more to the litigation than we know at the beginning. So it does look bad. Pardon me?
Growth of the litigation.
Yeah, growth of the litigation. 11th house is an Upsaya. So if sixth lord is in 11th house, gain of litigation. So litigation basically increases. That is actually quite bad. From that point of view it is bad. From the point of view that it is Badhakasthana, the troublemaking house. The house of litigation lord is in the house of troublemaking. So it's quite bad. But how is Ketu? Is he any better? Eighth lord in 11th house, again terrible. More than sixth lord, eighth lord is even worse, because sixth lord will only give fighting. You will be able to fight. Eighth lord will make you worry, will make you very, very anxious. So Ketu's period is also not that bad. And unfortunately, had Mercury and Ketu been alone there, not alone, just been there without sun, if there was no sun there, they would have given the 6th and 8th Lord in 11th house. They would have given a Raj Yoga, this Raj Yoga. Maybe not so great because it's not happening in a Dusthana, in the 6th, 8th and 12th houses. But still, it would have been better. But unfortunately, Sun is there. So both of them, the 6th and 8th Lord, the Dusthana Lord, they will destroy Sun. And what is Sun for the follower? From Aries, which house does Sun own? 5th house of power. So the power of his followers will be taken away. Especially when Ketu's period comes, it will be eclipse. Because
What time is this effect maximum?
in my view, in 2007, 2008, when probably not soon enough. In Mercury's period, things will drag on. There will be a lot of litigation, lot of drama in the courts. But the real anxiety will start for the followers, probably in the Ketu's period.
But if Sun is not there, there is Raj Yoga, but if Sun is there, the effect of Raj Yoga is what is reduced.
It's just gone. It's just gone. There is no Raj Yoga. If you have Dusthana Lord along with a quadrant Lord or a trine Lord, there is no Raj Yoga.
But this mind you, there are followers of the people that are advised.
Yeah.
The 6th house, Sun.
Yeah.
But L2,
Followers of Libby himself
right.
are the following that Libby enjoys, or the power that Libby enjoys. It will be curtailed during Ketu's period. In 2007, 2008,
Very likely.
Libby will lose his power, lose his position. People will desert him basically in 2007, 2008. Until then he will fight. And then he will start worrying, oh my God, where have I come, what have I gotten myself into. So he will be worrying. Ironically, at the same time, Shani himself seems to be actually doing fine.
Right.
He will have some good development, he will be rising. Probably he will be rising because he dissociates successfully from Libby. It will probably take a while. It will be lingering. Libby's shadow will be lingering on him for a while. And when he finally comes out of the shadow and goes on to do something that appeases his bed and that again makes him enchanted with his bed, at that time Libby is probably suffering somewhere and he is happy enjoying. So that's how it looks to me. Ketu is bad for follower but good for him. Let us look at Tithi Pravesha, yeah. Let us look at the Tithi Pravesha for that. But let us see current year Tithi Pravesha. We have done enough with the Dasham, with the natal chart. Let's go to Tithi Pravesha after a break. So if you look at the current year chart, how is the current year chart? Actually, before we see the current year chart, we don't even know if this chart is really accurate. Let's just see 2000 and see if it makes sense that he became vice president of a country. Does it make sense at all? So let us see 2000. In 2000, he was elected as, was it 2000? Yeah, 2000. He was elected as vice president. Is there any chance of power in 2000? What time was the election? Yeah, this period he was elected. Yeah, we'll see health also, if we have time. Yeah. Okay, now look at this. Is there a chance that during this year he will be elected as the vice president? The ruler of the year is Jupiter is the ruler of the year. Is there a chance that he will be elected as vice president during this year? Yeah. Moon's period, during Moon's period there was a lot of litigation that he and his fellow contestant, his presidential contestant Bush, they were in a lot of litigation and they were anxious, they were worried. So that was the result in Moon Antardasha, and in Mars Antardasha he was elected, they were elected, and his vote taking probably happened. He took power probably in 2001 after his birthday. His birthday was, in 2000 itself. Because his birthday in 2001 was on January 28. They took votes before that. So everything happened in this year. In Moon period, there were elections, there was a controversial verdict, and there were a lot of court cases, and there was a lot of anxiety on whether they will be president and vice president or not. And finally, when Mars period came, they were elected. They were declared the president and vice president after Supreme Court intervened. And in the period of Mercury, he took vote. as the vice president of the country. So that is the timeline. Now does it make sense? Looking at the Dashamsha chart, can you reconcile with things? That is my question. Could moon have given him tension? Why? Pardon me? Yes. Moon is in the 8th house. Does everybody see that? Moon is in the 8th house. If moon is in 8th house, will he give lot of anxiety? Absolutely. He is in Mangargasthana, he gives lot of tension. And is there something there? Ghatika is there. So the tension may very well be relating to power. But also look at the Arudha that is there. Which Arudha is there? Pardon me? Yes. Not only enemies. A6, what does it show? It shows enemies, it shows tangible enmity, tangible quarrels. It also shows litigation. 6th house is also the house of litigation. So A6 is a tangible litigation. So A6 is there, moon is in the 8th house. So in moon dasha, having anxieties and having litigation makes perfect sense. Everybody agree? Okay. Now look at the next period. Mars. In the Mars period, is there a chance of the weight being over? In the Mars dasha, is there a chance that the fight is over and they are declared the winner? Is that possible? Yeah? Yeah? He is the 6th and 11th lord, he is a function of the Elphic, he is in the 7th house. Is he good or bad? Yeah? If the 6th lord is in 7th house, what would he show? In somebody like us, he can show losing the job. 6th house is the house of your service, the house of overcoming obstacles, but as a part of it, it is also the house of service. If the lord of a house is in Marakasthana from it can show ending of that. So if the 6th lord is in 7th house, it can show end of service. It can show that the person will lose his job during that job. So that is one possibility. And here, of course, he is not in service, but he was engaged in a fight at that time, in a litigation. If the 6th lord is in 7th house, can it show the end of that litigation? It can show. So that is one point. And the second point is, are there any yogas given by Mars? Yeah, they are together in the 7th. So it can show end of the litigation. But is their aspect on Mercury good or bad? First of all, is Mercury good or bad? See, if he takes oath, it happens in Mercury dasha. If you were looking, does Mercury show a new beginning? Does he show power? Pardon me? He is in Lagna in one house. When did he take oath? I don't know. Okay, that was Mercury Rahu Antardasha. Is that a good Antardasha? Is there any yoga given by Mercury Rahu? Lagna Lord Mercury and 9th Lord Rahu are together in Lagna. So there is a Lakshmi Yoga, there is a Raj Yoga given by Mercury and Rahu. So during Mercury Mahadasha, especially Rahu Antardasha, between January 14 and January 21, is there a chance of his getting a good powerful position and making a new beginning in career? Because Lagna always shows new beginning. Because the Raj Yoga happens in Lagna, it's a new beginning for his professional life. So there is it is very auspicious. During the Mercury Rahu Antardasha, his becoming president makes perfect sense. During Moon Antardasha, his fighting makes perfect sense. During Mars Antardasha, Mars Dasha, the litigation ending also makes very good sense. But the one thing that I wanted to make sense of is the fighting ending in his favor or not? How do you see that? Pardon me? Yeah, to see whether the fighting is ending to his benefit or not, you should obviously look at his Arudha Lagna, because Arudha Lagna is his status, his image, his manifestation. As far as he internally is concerned, he will be thinking, because Mars is the 6th and 11th Lord, he is in Marakasthana from 6th house, he internally at the level of truth, lot of fight, lot of fire will basically be extinguished. There will be lot of fire that is extinguished by that Mars in the 7th house. But from what people see, what is happening is, where is Mars from Arudha Lagna? Is in the 10th house. If Mars is in the 10th house, is it good or bad? It's bad if you are a saint. It's bad. If you are a saint, Jupiter in the 10th house from Arudha Lagna is good. Mars in the 10th from Arudha Lagna is a blemish on your image. You will be seen to be somebody fighting for something. So it's not good. But if you are a materialistic person, if you are a political leader or a soldier, Mars in the 10th from Arudha Lagna is quite good. It makes the world look at you as a winner. Mars is basically the winner. Mars and Ketu, Mars is warrior. So that Mars in the 10th house from Arudha Lagna will make the world look at him as a winner, as a warrior, as a conqueror. So from Arudha Lagna, he is in the 10th house. From Lagna, he is the 6th lord in 7. Combining both, we can see that the litigation will finish, and also it can finish in his favor. What about his enemies? Is it finishing in his enemies' favor also? Look at A6. A6 shows the opposition that he got, the litigation that he got. And Mars is in the 12th house, in the house of loss or giving up. So as far as the enemies are concerned, are they giving up or are they losing or not? They are losing. And now the thing is, I always keep telling you one thing. Look at the ruler of the year. He is the king during the year. If he is involved, results will happen. Any planet wants to give a result. It will be able to give the result only if the ruler of the year is involved. Who is the ruler of the year? We said, I thought it was Jupiter. Jupiter. Ruler of the year is Jupiter. Now, this Mars and Ketu, who are in the 10th from Arudha and who show the end of litigation, they are in Jupiter's house. They are in friend's house. Jupiter is their friend, especially for Mars. Jupiter is friend, and he is in friend's house. So he has the cooperation of the ruler of the year. He has an association with the ruler of the year by being in his house. So because of that, whatever results Mars is showing, which is Rajya for the person and loss for the enemy and end of the tension, end of the fighting spirit, etc. Extinguishing of the fire within. So all those results that Mars is trying to give, he is able to give just because he has an association with Jupiter. He is in Jupiter's house. If he is with Jupiter or in a trine from Jupiter or in Jupiter's house, then he will be able to give the result. And because he is also friend of Jupiter, it's worse. If I am in Jupiter's house and if I am an enemy of Jupiter, I may not be able to have the year of Jupiter. But if I go to my friend's house, my friend may not be at home then. He may be traveling somewhere else. But when I am in his house, I will call him, I will talk to him, I will say all the pleasantries, and I will have his ear basically. Whatever I want to do, if he is capable of helping me, he will basically help me. So that association with Jupiter is basically helpful.
But Jupiter is from Lagna,
Yeah. But from that, whatever you conclude, you can basically, once again, we are looking at wrong method. That whatever you want to conclude about Jupiter, draw those conclusions in the Jupiter Dasha. If you want to see what happens in the Jupiter Dasha itself, then look at what is Jupiter. But there are other planets who want to give him power during the Dasha. If they have Jupiter's cooperation, they will give. Jupiter will not object them to giving. Okay? But overall, looking at the three events, litigation, end of litigation, and final crowning, which was in Nepri Dasha, Rahu and Dasha. Looking at all those things, it looks like this data is reasonably good. Yeah. 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 But his point is, Sun is the Karaka of power. If the Karaka of power is in Manakaraka Sthana during a year, can the person get power? That is his question. That is his question. Now, looking at this example, what do you think? Do you think that even if Sun, the ruler of the power, is in Manakaraka Sthana, still can the person come to power? That's how it looks like. So the lesson from this is, don't just go by the rule, the Karaka. Don't just go by the Karaka. Karaka is like project manager. If the project manager is totally incapable of contributing to a project, so yeah, if the other people are willing to make it happen, and if the project manager is capable of getting the work done through them, it will get done. So that is the point. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Argala and
Yeah.
all these combination work on the screen.
Yeah.
So you see that in the project screen, that either the integrated Karaka is the or the house or some essentially you can strengthen the right pieces in the project.
Exactly. If all of them may not be perfect. The project manager may be very weak. Our project manager may be strong, but the lord of the house, the group manager who is in charge of the group that is handling the project, he may be weak. So think in terms of that analogy. The mutual relationships are important. For example, look at Mars. Mars is a friend of Sun. And he has fifth house. We are basically talking about let's finish this because it's a good insight. As far as finishing the litigation is concerned, as far as fighting is concerned, forget Sun. We don't care about Sun. Who's the Karaka for that? Mars himself is the Karaka for fighting. And what is the house for that? Sixth house. So Mars is the sixth lord and Karaka also. And he is in a quadrant, in a friendly house. So he is quite strong. So during this year, if he has to fight, if he fights strongly, yes. Now, let us look at power. During this year, if he has to get new power, will he get it or not? What is the house for power? Fifth house. From Sun or from Lagna? From both. According to Parashara, you can take the sixth house from both. So it is either this or this. So it is a combination of these two houses which shows power for him during the year. Who is the Karaka? Who is the project manager? Yes. No, project manager. Sun is project manager. Okay. Now, is the project manager, does the project manager aspect this house? The fifth house? He has an aspect on the fifth house. Okay. So project manager is not basically dissociated from the project. He has an active role in the project. He is looking at the project. Now, who are the planets who can get the project done for him? The Lord Venus, who has Argala on it, and Rasi Drishti, he can get it done for him. Who are the other planets? Any other planets with Argala? Because Argala is a conclusive intervention. Who have Argala and Libra? Moon has Argala. Who else? 2, 4, 11. 2, 4, 11. So from this, the Argala is from planets in Scorpio, planets in Capricorn, planets here. You guys are forgetting. I told you another Argala. If there are malefics in the third, they can also give Argala. Remember? Malefics in third. So from Libra, Mars and Ketu are in the third house. Do they have Argala on the house of power or not? Being two malefics. Malefics on third house have Argala. Especially if it is not one but several. 2 or 3 or 4 malefics. If they are in the third house, they have an Argala. Especially if there are only malefics in the third without any benefits, that Argala is very strong. So this is an Argala, this is an intervention where what is third house from any house? Bravery. So you get it done with bravery. Second house Argala is get it done through resources. Fourth house Argala is getting it done because you have a nice direction to take. Fourth house is direction. 11th house is basically gain. So because you have a strong desire, you get it done and you get the fulfillment. That is 11th house. Third house Argala is, it is strong initiative, getting it done because there is a strong willpower. So there are two malefics, Mars and Ketu is having Argala on 5th house. So they are again capable of giving power. But if they give power, it is through bold action. And also, what is their sources? They are the 6th lord and 11th lord. So they can basically make the person fight and get the power. So if Mars and Ketu give the power, that is how they give. They give it through 5. If moon gives power, how will he give? He is the second lord. He is the lord of the house of resources. He will put his resources to use and through them he will derive power. So that is the kind of power moon will give. So like this you can look at all the Rasidrishtis, Grahadrishtis, Agalas, and then all those planets, they are capable of giving the power. Who are on good terms with sun? Who are sun's friends? Mars and moon are sun's friends. Venus is not really a friend. So even though Venus is fifth lord and has Argala on fifth house, he does not really like to cooperate with sun that much. He is in Simha. He is a sun's mercy. So he can get it done. But still the relationship is slightly not strong. Whereas Mars, if you take, he is a friend of sun. Mars and sun are very good friends. And also not only if you have a strong role to play in a project and the project manager is your buddy, still you may not do it, because if your boss, the boss of the group that you work for doesn't like the project manager or doesn't want you to work on the project, he may not allow you to work on it. So for that you have to look at the lord of the sign where these planets is placed. Mars and Ketu are in Jupiter's house. So Jupiter is like their boss, their group manager. They are in a group owned by Jupiter. And they have a role to play in this project which is giving Shani power in the year. Now, will Jupiter cooperate? Jupiter is a friend of Mars. So they are in a group where group manager is their close buddy. And the project manager in the project that they want to implement is their close buddy. And also group manager and project manager are close buddy. And they are together here. So that they are talking to each other constantly. So is there a very good chance that Mars will end up contributing to that project? Absolutely. So like this, if you see, if you just want to look at fifth house is Libra, fifth lord is Venus, so Venus Dasha will give power. If you want to do astrology like that, you may not always be able to make sense of things. If you really want to do perfect astrology, perfect prediction, you have to look at all the influences. Look at Argala, look at Rasidrishti, look at Grahadrishti, look at project leader, manager, look at Karaka, look at the lord of the house and lord of the house where planet is there. And what is the dynamics, what are the relationships between all those. If you take cognizance of all these facts, then only you will be able to get the perfect understanding. So is it clear here? Here, looking at all these relationships, Mars is a perfect candidate for giving him power. So that is why it happened in Mars Dasha. When the Mars Dasha came, the problems that he had, everything was resolved, and it was Mars Rahu or Mars Jupiter, I forget one of these. Rahu will basically give Ketu square.
Another analogy for this question on the project failure is, though the project failure is weak, in general any project will get done, even if the project failure is weak and is not giving the direction, but if the group members are very motivated and involved, then projects will still succeed. Or the group leader, if he is taking his lead, then just still survive.
But here actually you have to realize that the project manager son, he has Rasidrishti on the fifth house. So he's not really that bad. From Lagna, he is in the 12th house. So for the person, he is giving a lot of problems. The person has to compromise something, etc. But for the fifth house, he is quite good. He is in the 8th family. So he will give a lot of anxiety relating to it. But he has Rasidrishti. So actually this is a case where Sun is also contributing to the power. There may be another case where Sun is in Manakaraka Sthana from the 5th house. That is even worse. If Sun was in the 4th house, then for getting power during the year, things are not so auspicious. But what I am saying is, even in that case, it may get done. If there are good planets in the 5th house or having Argala on the 5th house, to have good relationship with Sun and also their lord, their disposition, then things can get done. Like he said, even if the project manager is a dummy, still project can get done. I have seen that sometimes. If people are really committed and the group manager is really committed to the project, even if project manager all he is doing is punching in numbers and not really giving any direction, doing real synchronization, still things can get done. Anyway, now we are basically happy this time is correct. Quickly to look at 2004. We will not do a detailed analysis like we did now, but try to look at all the factors and look at all the relationships and try to judge like this. Then you will really have fun with astrology. 2004 was the election. Yeah, we are in 2005 now. But in 2004, he was re-elected, right? Was he re-elected? So that was in Moon's period. During the period of Moon, he was re-elected. And one second, who is the Hora Lord? Hora Lord is Mercury. Okay, let us keep that aside. Now, is there a chance? First of all, is this year conducive to getting power or retaining the power? Is this year conducive to retaining power or not? That is what I wanted to answer. Look at the Dashamsha while I am looking at this and tell me. Are there any yogas in the Dashamsha? You are taking too much time. Are there any yogas in Dashamsha? Lagna Lord Mars and 5th Lord Jupiter are together in the 6th house. Is it good or bad? Excellent. Lagna Lord and 5th Lord conjunction is always excellent Raj Yoga, and those planets happen to be friends, not enemies, Mars and Jupiter. Perfect. So there is a very good Raj Yoga. 6th Lord in 6th house. That is also a yoga, Harsha Yoga. So will he be in general more bold in this year? 6th Lord is in 6th, he will be very bold. And Moon Dasha gave him power. Moon is basically the 9th Lord, he is aspecting the 5th house. So he can give power. Does he show losing power or keeping power? He is the Bhagya Lord, he is aspecting the 5th house. So he can show continuing in power. And moreover, the Lagna and 5th Lord are conjoined. You don't need to look at anything else. There is a Raj Yoga. The person is already a vice president. And there is a Raj Yoga in that particular election year start. So you don't have to look at anything else. You can directly say he will continue in power. If he is losing power, you will see the 6th Lord in 3rd house or 8th house, 10th Lord in 3rd house, 8th house. Like that you will see some negative indication which shows that he is losing power. Because it's a big deal. From 1 to 0 is a big deal. Or 100 to 0 is a big deal. Whereas if he is still in power but the majority changes, the votes that they get change, it may be from 100 to 80 or 80 to 100, it's not a big deal. But suddenly vice president becoming a normal citizen, it's a big deal. You should definitely see it. And here you don't really see anything like that. So you can conclude that.
One thing,
yeah.
So it's happening to 6,000. Look at one,
yeah.
So he has to overcome obstacles and fight.
There is a lot of fighting to be done during this year. There is a lot of fighting. Yes. There is a lot of fighting, no doubt.
Which year is this?
The election year, the last election year.
However, Mercury, who is the Hora Lord,
Yeah.
has association.
Yeah. Mercury does not have association with Jupiter and Mars. So even though they give a Raj Yoga, as far as giving power is concerned, these dashas are not likely to give that power. They want to give him Raj Yoga during the year, but it will be some other planet who has a role to play on the 5th house who will end up giving the power. If you look at 5th house of power, Jupiter and Mars have Argala on it, Moon has Drishti on it, Sun has Drishti on it, Sun and Moon have Rashi Drishti on it, Moon has Graha Drishti also. So one of these two planets will end up giving power. As far as getting power or reaffirming the power is concerned during the year, it will be one of those planets. Moon is aspecting the 5th house, he is in trine from Mercury, the ruler of the year. He is in the sign owned by the ruler of the year. So Arun Lagna is there. So Moon is likely to give. That's why it happened in Moon Dasha. The election everything happened in Moon. Pardon me? Swearing in was probably in January.
Because that shows A5 with Mercury.
Yeah.
Mercury in aspecting Lagna.
Yeah. I think it was, I believe it was January 2019, 2021. Yeah. It is again Mercury, but the election results happened. All the tension went away basically in the Moon period. Now let us go back to current year. So how is the current year? Pardon me? Now, in this particular year, in general, make a determination. Is it good or bad? How is the chart in general? Sun in 10th house, but Sun is the 12th Lord. 12th Lord in 10th house, spoiling 10th Lord. Not so great. Rahu in 8th house, but 6th Lord. So Viparita Rajoga, but lot of anxiety in that Viparita Rajoga. Saturn and Mars in 7th house. Not so great, because they are the... Sun, Mars is in Manakarka Sthana. 8th Lord Mars, 7th Lord, 6th Lord Saturn are together in a quadrant. This is not Viparita Rajoga. If you are in Dusthana, it would be Viparita Rajoga. If two Dusthana Lords are in a quadrant, this is a bad yoga. So basically, 7th house is spoiled. His relationships, etc. are spoiled during this year. Venus and Moon are in the 6th house. Is it good? For Venus being in the 6th house is very bad. What does Venus show? 9th Lord, the Dharma, the Bhagya, the luck, the fortune. Bhagya Adipati is in Manakaraka. So his fortune, he will be running out of luck during this year. So this is actually a terrible year if you look at all these factors. Especially here, Aquarius, from Aquarius, Pisces and Aries, these three signs, if you look at planets here, you can basically conclude this year is not so auspicious for you. This year is a year of anxiety, tension and running out of luck. Yeah. Again, that's not a very favorable association. 3rd and 8th Lord with 5th Lord actually can show losing power also. So it's not auspicious. Only saving grace is Mercury is quite strong. The Lagna Lord Mercury is in own house. So that is basically the greatest blessing. For a Lord is Saturn. He is not so great. So this is a so-so year. This is a year of lot of problems for him, lot of obstacles. Pardon me? But we don't see. Do you see any litigation for him? 6th house is the house of litigation. Venus and Moon. You don't really see any strong chance of litigation. You see. Yeah, he is with Mars. He is with Mars. Solar Lord Saturn is with Mars. Mars is the Karaka for 6th house. Both of them have Argala on the 6th house. There could be some problems, but if you want a tangible litigation for this man,
Indirect litigation.
Yeah, indirect litigation. Or what is litigation? Basically, you are fighting about something. Whereas if there is a real litigation in his name, it would be tangible. So you should look at it from A6. So any planets that have to do with A6 can give him actual litigation, if at all he gets into litigation. So which planet can give him litigation, if at all? Rahu. But is Rahu willing to give litigation here? Is Rahu a good planet or bad planet here? Rahu is 6th Lord in 8th house, but giving Viparita Rajoga. So Rahu is not a planet who will give him worry. So even if he gets into any litigation, there will not be any worry on account of it. There will be some worry, but he will get out of it. So there may be some litigation or tangible manifestation of litigation kind of things for him, but he will come out of it successfully. So somebody associated with him may be linked with some problem. It may look like he is also getting stuck in it, but he may come out of it. Because
If you go down to one bottom level where it becomes very bad and then you become very
yes, you become saved from it and things become reversed. So you basically go to the brink but you don't fall. You go to the edge but you don't fall, and then you start doing well. That is Viparita Rajoga. And here 6th Lord Rahu is in A6. He is quite capable of giving litigation. Rahu's period was in June-July period. So in June-July he may have actually gotten into big trouble. Even Mars period, Mars is the Lord of A6. So in December-January also he can get in trouble. So June-July and again December-January, he can go to the brink, but he may be rescued at the end of it because that Rahu is giving him trouble. But overall, let's not spend too much time. Let us close in the next 10-15 minutes. So what we can say based on this Dashansha chart is, things are not so good. This year is not very clear. But he will not basically fall from power, or he will not be indicted, or he will not go to prison, etc. But how is the next year? Because this year is almost over. So, yes.
That's very good for
Well, yeah, but Jupiter is basically the 4th and 7th lord. So Jupiter's strength will only reflect on his happiness. So despite anything that happens, he will have some comfort. Basically, he will be comfortable. He will not be. He whatever he does, whatever direction he takes, he can do it fully. That is what Jupiter shows. Jupiter is the planet of decision, and he is the 4th lord here. 4th house is the house of how peaceful you feel.
Desires, relationships, law,
Yes.
relationships, desires,
Yeah.
plus 4th lord, Sukha, direction. Sitting in the 6th house is the meaning house.
Yeah.
So that means the relationships will still keep him alive and it's in house because he's sitting in the 6th.
Yeah. Only thing is we haven't really focused on the Parivartana. There is a Parivartana between Jupiter and Saturn. So when you say Jupiter gives the result also he is exalted, you have to realize that actually Jupiter will act as if he is in Pisces. So let us leave that. Try to look at it and try to draw some conclusion. Whatever we have done is not actually perfect. There is much more. Saturn Jupiter Parivartana changes a lot of things. So try to look at it later. But overall, this is not a great year. If the 9th lord is your protection, if he is in Manakaraka Sthana, it's not a good year. Period. Yes, absolutely. Look at Rashi. Rashi chart is the chart for imprisonment. Because physically your movements are restricted. Professional environment wise, you may be in jail and you may be calling all kinds of big people and arranging that $1 billion changes from this hand to that hand. You may be doing all those things. You may be controlling a mafia don, may be in jail, but he may be controlling billions of dollars worth of operations. And he may be taking care of his business as though he was in his house. Because for some people, even being in his own house is like being in prison. They can't go out, but from there they can get a lot of things done. So there may not be a lot of difference between house and prison. So professional environment wise, he may be fine. If you take somebody like Abu Salam, I don't know his chart, the mafia leader, the Don, who is in jail right now, who's involved in a court case right now. He was deported to India from some country, Portugal or not Poland, Portugal, some country. They deported him to India. He is in prison right now, and even from his prison, he may be doing everything. So Dashamsa wise, things may be same, but Rashi wise, he is basically limited in his movement physically. So it is what you did is right. Look at Rashi chart for imprisonment. Okay, looking at Rashi chart during this year. Is there any chance of imprisonment? The 12th house. 12th lord moon is in 8th house. You don't have a really strong 12th house. And look at the Sahama. What is the Sahama for imprisonment? Bandhana. Vargo. You don't have any link between Bandhana, Sahama, 12th lord, etc. And Saturn. Saturn is the Karaka for imprisonment. You don't have any link. So probably no imprisonment during this year. Look at 2006. What? Which year are you looking at? 2006. I am looking at now. These guys were still in 2005. Now we are looking at 2006. Now, where is Bandhana Sahamam? Okay, good. Hora Lord is Venus. Hora Lord, the ruler of the year is Venus. He is the Yogakaraka, but he is in the 12th house. Interesting. Okay, one second. Fifth Lord. He is the 5th and 10th Lord. What is his agenda? His agenda is to give power, give following, etc. He is in the 12th house. So he can give, if a planet is in the 12th house, it shows some kind of compromise, some kind of giving up, etc. Theoretically, there is some chance of imprisonment, there is some kind of chance of hospitalization also. All those are possible, but look at Bandhana Sahamam. Where is Bandhana Sahamam? It is in Simha. Is Bandhana Sahamam linked with 12th house? No. Not really. The 12th Lord is in Libra and it's not connected to Saturn either. So looking at this, I wouldn't really worry that he has a chance of imprisonment. That would be my reading. But forget the imprisonment now. Look at the Dashamsa. How is the next year? Is there a chance of some kind of redemption? Some kind of rising again? Because this year has been quite bad for him. He has been a liability for George Bush. He's been in all kinds of controversies during this year. He's basically like Venus in the 6th house we saw. He basically ran out of his luck during this year. Of course, same thing happened to Bush also. But both of them are out of luck during this year. Things are not working their way. How is the next year? Is he more lucky during this year? Yes. The ruler of the planet who shows protection and luck, he is in Manakarka Sthana. But the good news is, he is giving a Rajyoga. He is a Yogarka and he is giving Rajyoga with Shani. Lagna Lord and 9th Lord being together is very auspicious. So next year, still not perfect, but things seem better next year. How is 2007? Because we looked at the natal chart, 2007 there was an Antardusha change. We thought that year was a good year. How is 2007? What do you think? Look at Dashamsha. Let's just focus on Dashamsha. Lagna is Pisces. Mars in Lagna, the 9th Lord, a functional benefic is in Lagna. Good or bad? Super. How are other planets? Sun is the Karaka for power. He is in the 9th house. He is in Arudha Lagna. Sun is in Arudha Lagna. And Jupiter, the Lagna Lord, is in 11th house. He is debilitated, but he is in 11th house.
12th Lord in 8th house.
12th Lord, Rahu is in 8th house. Good or bad? Excellent. 12th Lord in 8th house, Rahu. There will be anxieties, but also there will be great rise. And Mercury in 12th house. Good or bad? 4th and 7th Lord, he is Bharakesha. He is in 12th house. Good or bad? Excellent. All the worries, nagging worries suddenly disappearing. So looking at most of the planets, Saturn is the only worrisome planet. Actually, Guru Shani there is a Parivartana. 10th and 11th Lord Parivartana, is it good or bad? It's not a Raj Yoga, but it's a good yoga. It's better than 10th and 8th Lord Parivartana. 11th is fulfillment of desire. 10th is the work that you do. The planet who is in charge of the work that you do, he wants to make you, he is told to fulfill your desire. The planet whose job it is to fulfill your desire, he is placed in your house of work and told, let him do some work. So naturally there is a synchronicity, there is a synchronization, there is a harmony between those two angles. It is the work that you do and what you get in return. So excellent. Shani Guru Parivartana is very good. So Jupiter, even though he is in Neecha, he will act as though he is in 10th house in own house. So Jupiter is strong, Saturn is strong, Mercury is strong, Rahu is strong, Sun is strong, Mars is strong. Yeah? Fourth Lord, see, last, look at it this way. The 12th house from Lagna is not just last. It's basically being a complete piece. Either because you gave it, or because you gave up, or because you made a compromise. So planets in the 12th house either show losing something, or being, not having any worries relating to those. That is what planets in 12th house is capable of showing. And Mercury is a benefic planet, and he is not associated with anybody. So if a benefic planet is in the 12th house, you can give relax, peace of mind. And if you want to really judge the peace of mind, look at 4th house and see, with respect to 4th house, where is Mercury? He is 9th house. He is protecting it. The planet whose agenda is to give him some peace, he is protecting it. So this is a year of great peace. Yeah. If 4th Lord is in 12th house, it is actually not a combination for being unhappy. It's a combination for being relaxed. So that is good. Only problem is Venus is in 4th house. Even though Venus is Karaka for happiness, he is 8th Lord here. So that is a little unfavorable. But otherwise, Venus is the only not so good planet here. Pardon me? Moon is in 6th house. And actually, yeah, Moon is benefic. He is the Aura Lord. So Moon in the 6th house, again he shows some fighting that he keeps engaging in. But overall, this chart is very, very auspicious. So what I conclude is, this year is not so good for Shani. Next year he will redeem some power. Now everybody is saying, oh, he is a liability for good. But next year he will again reassert himself.
But what Sriram said, 4th Lord in 12th house can give some loss of Sukha.
That's what I am saying. 4th Lord in 12th house. From 4th house, he is in the 9th house.
Oh, from 4th house.
So he is protecting the planet whose job it is to give Sukha. He is protecting Sukha. And from Lagna, as far as Sukha angle is concerned, he is protecting it. He is not trying to destroy it. He is trying to give it guidance, give it luck. So as far as Sukha is concerned, he is safeguarding it. And as far as the person himself is concerned, he is basically making him give up or making him very calm. Santosh is also the house of being extremely calm, not worried at all. So he is making the person be not worried at all, and he is making the Sukha safeguarded. So what does it mean? What it means is he is happy. So fourth lord in the 12th house is not a combination for loss of peace. It is a combination for being happy, being relaxed.
About then A10 and A2 are resources and is tangible what is getting depleted or there is something.
It is in the 12th house. So there will be certain, as far as his work is concerned, there will be some taking easy kind of thing that will happen. If he is in the 12th house, he will either give up something or make a compromise, or he will just relax and take things easy. So he may take things a little easy during this year. He may not exert himself too much because he already exerted and whatever needs to be done would probably already started. So he will just relax and basically sit back and relax. That is what you can say. And the thing is, if you look from Arun Lagna, Sun in Arun Lagna, if you look at Lagna, Mars in Lagna, Jupiter in 10th house, Saturn in 11th house, Bharakesha in 12th house, 12th Lord in 8th house, all these angles, if you look, from all the angles, this is a very good chart. Out of the 9 planets, 6 planets are very well placed. Only 3 planets are average placed. So you can conclude that this current year is bad. Next year is also bad, but better than current year. And 2007-2008 is a great year for him. This is a year when he can relax, and his power and position, his control in the administration will be restored. He will have full control in the administration during this year, and whatever he wants to happen will happen. He will be able to function fully effectively during this year. Until then, things are restricted. His ability to get things done will be restricted compared to how it was in the last few years. But 2007 and 2008 is a very good year for him. So good luck to him. Good luck to this year. Any other questions? Okay. What we will do is, we will stop this politics because we have done too many political charts. So we will stop these political charts in the next class. I will start some new topics, some new dasha. Probably we will do Tribhagi Nishwati dasha if it is possible. So we will start doing that in the next class. If you have any questions, okay, you are always welcome to ask your questions. And you can also send mails to the list. If you have any specific questions, you can send mail. If I have time, I will answer. If somebody else can answer, they can reply. If I don't have time to type an answer, I can answer the question in the class. So if you have any question, write it down for the next class or send an email. Otherwise, we will start a new topic in the next class. So with that, we will end today. But it does look like 2007-2008 is a good year for Shani, but bad year for Libby. That is how it looks like. If anybody gets access to Libby's chart itself, we can try to take a look at it, take a quick look at it. But if we don't, that is fine. Enough politics. With that, I will end for today. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
It's a good year for him, but bad year for the country. No, 2008.
Yeah? For country, I don't remember. You have to remember.
No, you said...
For Libby.
Oh, Libby. Oh, okay.